Life is full of challenges, moments that test your patience, your willpower, and your emotional strength. In those moments, it's natural to want to talk, to vent, and to seek understanding. But here's a hard truth: not everyone wants to hear your problems. Some listen out of curiosity, some out of pity, and only a few truly care. The world, for the most part, is busy dealing with its own struggles. That's why you must learn the power of silence and resilience. In life, it's easy to believe that when you open up about your struggles, people will truly understand and care. But the reality is far different. Most people are so caught up in their own world, their own stress, and their own survival that they barely have the energy to handle someone else's problems. When you start sharing your troubles too often, you may not realize that others are listening politely, not empathetically. It's not because they are heartless, but because everyone is fighting unseen battles. Your pain may seem huge to you, but to others, it's just another story in a world already full of noise and chaos. People naturally focus on their own issues, their careers, relationships, finances, and emotions. When you pour your heart out expecting understanding, you often end up disappointed. The truth is, even those who seem supportive have limited patience and energy. They may nod, give advice, or express sympathy, but deep down, they're still thinking about their own problems. It's a harsh truth, but it teaches you emotional maturity. Depending too much on others for comfort weakens your inner strength. The more you rely on external validation, the more fragile your peace becomes. Moreover, constantly discussing your problems can start to push people away. Over time, they may see you as someone who complains rather than acts. It changes how they perceive you, not as strong or capable, but as dependent and emotionally draining. This perception can quietly affect your relationships, friendships, and even opportunities. People are naturally drawn to positivity and strength, not to constant negativity. So when you learn to carry your burdens quietly, you not only protect your dignity, but also maintain the respect of those around you. This doesn't mean you should never speak or seek help. It means you should choose wisely. Share only with those who genuinely care and can offer constructive support, not just temporary sympathy. The world is full of listeners, but short on helpers. So guard your emotions carefully. Instead of telling everyone your story, tell yourself that you'll rise above it. Because the more you depend on people to understand, the more disappointed you'll become. True growth begins when you accept that not everyone will care, and that's perfectly fine. Every time you talk about your problems, you give them life. Words are powerful. They shape your emotions, your mindset, and even your energy. When you repeatedly speak about your struggles, you reinforce the pain and make it occupy more space in your mind. What could have been a passing difficulty slowly becomes a dominant thought that controls your mood and decisions. The more you dwell on your problems, the more they grow, feeding off your attention and energy. Give these thoughts under time. Ditha Cheta, instead of healing, you start reliving the same pain every time you speak about it, keeping yourself trapped in a cycle of negativity. Our minds work like magnets. They attract what we constantly think and talk about. When you keep discussing failure, frustration, or disappointment, your focus shifts entirely toward them. Soon, your thoughts become heavy and your spirit feels burdened. Even small inconveniences begin to look like massive obstacles. This is how negativity spreads, not through events themselves, but through how much attention we give them. By talking excessively about problems, you unknowingly strengthen their grip over your emotions and allow them to dictate how you feel each day. Instead of vocalizing problems repeatedly, it's far more powerful to internalize them, analyze them quietly, and turn your attention toward finding solutions. Silence gives you clarity. It helps your mind calm down and think rationally. When you stop broadcasting your struggles, your energy shifts from complaining to creating. You begin to see new paths, new ideas, and new perspectives. The moment you take control of your focus, you begin to weaken the problem's emotional hold. Strength isn't about having no problems. It's about not allowing them to dominate your words or thoughts. Furthermore, when you constantly talk about what's wrong, you unconsciously invite more negativity from others, People might respond with pity, false advice, or even discouragement, making you feel worse instead of better. On the other hand, when you keep quiet and work in silence, you protect your mental state from outside influence. You preserve your peace and allow time to work its healing magic. Problems lose their power when you stop feeding them with your words. What you choose to speak about shapes your world, so speak less about what hurts and more about what heals. In a world where everyone wears a mask, it's dangerous to reveal too much of what's hidden beneath yours. When you open up about your struggles, you assume people will understand or empathize, but not everyone listens with good intentions. Some people pay attention to your words, not to comfort you, but to collect information. They quietly note your weaknesses, your fears, and your insecurities, waiting for the right moment to use them against you. It might not happen immediately, but in moments of conflict, jealousy, or competition, they can twist your vulnerability into a weapon. What you once shared in trust can later become the reason you feel betrayed. The sad truth is that not everyone you call a friend is truly loyal. Many people appear kind on the surface, but thrive on comparison and gossip behind closed doors. When you tell them about your problems, they may sympathize publicly, yet secretly feel relief or satisfaction that your life isn't perfect either. They might even spread your story, exaggerating details, turning your pain into entertainment. The world is full of listeners, but few are genuine keepers of trust. This is why silence is not just a choice, it's a form of protection. Guarding your emotions means guarding your peace and your dignity. Sharing personal struggles also shifts power away from you and into someone else's hands. The moment another person knows your weak spots, they have leverage, consciously or unconsciously. It could affect your workplace relationships, friendships, or even how others perceive your confidence. Vulnerability is powerful when shared with the right people, but dangerous when revealed to the wrong ones. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world because not everyone will treat it with care. Some will manipulate your honesty, using your openness to control, criticize, or discredit you later. Learning to stay private about your struggles doesn't make you secretive. It makes you wise. It teaches you emotional independence and discernment. Instead of speaking about your pain to everyone, observe who truly supports you without judgment or hidden motives. Those are the people worth trusting. The rest are just spectators in your story, not supporters of your growth. By mastering the art of quiet endurance, you protect your heart from unnecessary harm and keep your power where it belongs, within you. Silence is often misunderstood as weakness, but in truth, it's one of the greatest strengths a person can develop. When life tests you with challenges, your first instinct might be to react, to talk, to argue, or to explain. But silence teaches you patience. It allows emotions to settle before decisions are made. In silence, you learn to observe rather than overreact, to think rather than complain. It helps you separate what truly matters from what's just noise. Those who can remain calm in chaos demonstrate not passivity, but mastery over their own mind. The ability to stay quiet when everything around you demands a reaction is a mark of maturity and control. Every word we speak carries energy, and when we speak impulsively, we often waste that energy on things that don't deserve it. Silence helps conserve your inner power. Instead of letting anger, frustration, or sadness spill into conversations that solve nothing, you hold that energy within and use it to rebuild yourself. This inner discipline strengthens your emotional core. It keeps you from saying things you might regret and from revealing feelings that others could misuse. When you learn to be silent, you also learn to listen to yourself, to others, and to the deeper lessons hidden within life's struggles. Moreover, silence gives you clarity. When you stop talking about your problems, you create space in your mind to reflect and find solutions. Constant talking blurs your vision, but quiet reflection brings understanding. You start to recognize patterns, realize your mistakes, and plan your next steps wisely. Great thinkers, leaders, and achievers often practice silence because it sharpens focus and builds inner stability. In a world that values noise, staying silent becomes a rare power. It helps you stand apart as someone composed, thoughtful, and grounded, even when things fall apart. Finally, silence trains you to respond instead of react. It strengthens your ability to control emotions, manage stress, and face adversity with grace. When you stay silent, you gain time. Time to understand the situation, time to process your emotions, and time to decide what truly deserves your attention. This is how real strength is built. Not through loud declarations, but through calm endurance. Silence is not about ignoring problems. It's about facing them with a clear mind and an unshakable heart. It transforms emotional chaos into wisdom and impulsive reactions into deliberate strength. In every aspect of life, people pay attention not to what you say, but to what you do. Words can inspire for a moment, but actions leave a lasting impact. When you constantly complain about your problems, people eventually stop listening. Not because they don't care, but because words without action lose their value. Complaining does not solve a single issue, it only magnifies what's wrong and weakens your confidence. On the other hand, taking action, even a small step forward, changes everything. It shifts your mindset from helplessness to empowerment. The world respects doers, not talkers, because actions reflect discipline, strength, and self-belief. Every complaint drains your energy, while every effort multiplies it. When you act, you take control of your situation. When you complain, you hand over that control to circumstances. Complaining focuses on what's lacking. Action focuses on what's possible. It's easy to talk about pain, stress, or frustration. It's much harder to get up and change what's causing it. But that's where true growth begins. Those who act don't need to announce their struggles. Their progress speaks for them. Whether it's working on yourself, improving your skills, or facing fears head-on, every action you take becomes proof of your resilience. You become the kind of person others admire, someone who turns adversity into motivation. Moreover, people judge character not by words but by consistency. You can tell the world about your dreams and goals endlessly, but until you back them up with effort, they remain empty promises. Action gives life to intention. It builds credibility, respect, and self-trust. When you keep showing up for yourself, even when no one is watching, you prove your determination. Over time, people start to notice, not because you told them your story, but because they see your transformation. Actions have a silent power. They inspire without noise and convince without explanation. Complaining, on the other hand, traps you in a cycle of negativity. The more you talk about what's wrong, the more powerless you feel. But the moment you decide to do something, to take even a small step toward a solution, your perspective begins to change. Progress fuels positivity. It reminds you that you are not a victim of your circumstances, but the author of your own story. When you replace complaints with consistent effort, life begins to respond differently. Opportunities open, confidence grows, and problems start to shrink in the face of your persistence. It's through action, not words, that strength, respect, and real success are earned. Your energy is one of the most valuable assets you possess. It fuels your focus, your ambition, your creativity, and your emotional stability. Yet, most people spend it carelessly, complaining, worrying, and discussing problems that don't deserve so much attention. When you constantly talk about your struggles, you drain your energy into negativity, leaving little room for growth or progress. Every word you speak, every emotion you dwell on, either adds to or subtracts from your inner power. Protecting your energy doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing where to invest your strength wisely. Not every situation, person, or problem deserves your attention. People often underestimate how much emotional energy is lost in unnecessary conversations and overthinking. When you spend hours explaining your pain to others, you re-experience it over and over again. making it stronger instead of letting it go. This emotional repetition weakens your mind and spirit, making you feel exhausted and uninspired. Protecting your energy means learning to walk away from anything that drains your peace. Whether it's negative people, toxic environments, or self-destructive thoughts. You have to understand that energy flows where attention goes. The more you focus on problems, the more powerful they become. But when you guard your energy and direct it towards self-improvement, the results are transformative. Your energy determines the quality of your life. When it's scattered, life feels chaotic and heavy. But when it's preserved and focused, life becomes clear and purposeful. Protecting your energy allows you to think better, act smarter, and respond more calmly to challenges. It gives you emotional balance, something that can't be achieved when you're constantly giving away your peace to negativity. The strongest people are not those who never face problems. They are those who manage their energy so well that problems never control their emotions. They invest their time and focus in things that uplift them. Learning, building, growing, and becoming better each day. Every time you complain or engage in draining conversations, ask yourself, is this worth my energy? That question alone can change how you live. When you stop feeding negativity with your attention, you begin to recharge. You start attracting better situations, better people, and better thoughts. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's self-respect. You cannot help others or improve your life if you are constantly depleted inside. Your energy is the foundation of everything you do. Once it's gone, motivation, clarity, and peace follow. So guard it fiercely, because every ounce of energy saved from negativity becomes the fuel that drives your success. In a world where everyone is eager to be seen and heard, silence followed by achievement is one of the most powerful statements you can make. When you let your success speak for you, you command attention without ever demanding it. People might doubt your journey, criticize your choices, or underestimate your ability. But once your results appear, all noise fades. Success silences judgment. It turns disbelief into respect and curiosity into admiration. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth when your accomplishments already prove it. Every victory, no matter how small, becomes your voice in a world full of unnecessary talk. Talking too much about your goals or problems before achieving anything can weaken your drive. The more you speak, the more you dilute your focus. When you share your plans too early, you invite opinions, doubts, and distractions from others who may not understand your vision. But when you keep quiet and work in the shadows, your progress becomes unstoppable. Silence keeps your mind sharp, your intentions pure, and your purpose protected. Success earned quietly has more weight than promises spoken loudly. It's not about showing the world what you're doing. It's about showing results that speak for themselves. When you let success tell your story, you build credibility that no words can replace. People trust what they can see. They are inspired by evidence, not explanations. Every hour of effort, every sacrifice, and every silent struggle adds up to a story of perseverance that doesn't need to be told. It simply shines through your achievements. When others witness your transformation, your growth, and your confidence, they automatically begin to listen. That is the beauty of silent hard work. It demands no validation, but earns respect naturally. The louder your success becomes, the quieter you can remain, knowing your results speak a language everyone understands. Your silence during struggle and your success after it create the most powerful contrast. It shows strength, focus, and inner discipline. It's not about proving anyone wrong, it's about proving yourself right. When your achievements reflect your effort, people remember not what you said, but what you became. Letting your success tell your story means rising above noise, negativity, and the need for attention. It's about trusting the process, working relentlessly, and allowing time to reveal what words cannot. Because in the end, the most powerful story is not the one you tell. It's the one your success tells for you. In life, silence, strength, and self-control are the true marks of maturity. You don't owe the world explanations for your pain, your failures, or your struggles. What you owe yourself is the commitment to rise above them. People may never understand the storms you've faced, but they will always see the light that shines after. Let your journey be proof of your endurance and your growth. Instead of seeking sympathy, seek progress. Instead of sharing your problems, build your peace. Because the most powerful version of you is not the one that talks about what's wrong. It's the one that quietly turns every problem into power and every setback into strength.